a second. There's something you don't know about me, Shorty. I am a fighter. I fought on the human circuit. I was ranked. I won a lot of fights. I had this dream. One day, I could come up here and fight in the arena. There's just no room for real fighters up here anymore. At least not for humans, that's for sure.
Welcome to Film and Page. I'm Dominic, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about the 1991 movie Arena, starring Paul Satterfield as Steve Armstrong, Hamilton Camp as Shorty, Claudia Christian as Quinn, Mark Alamo as Rogor, Sherry Shattuck as Jade, Armin Shimmerman as Weasel, and Michael Deak as Horn. Written by Danny Bilson and Paul DeMeo. Directed by Peter Manugan. Produced by Empire Studios and Altar Productions. So this is a movie that popped up on Tubi there the other night. I was searching through all the sci-fi movies, and this one popped up, and I had to watch it right away. Because this is a movie, when I was in my early teens, I really wanted to see this movie. I had seen a trailer for it as a preview for when I rented another movie. This was one of the trailers that was ahead of it. And I remember watching a trailer and thinking it looked so cool, and I wanted to see it. And I actually knew the actor that was in this movie, Paul Satterfield. So if you don't know who this guy is, he played a character called Paul Hornsby on the soap opera General Hospital. And I used to watch General Hospital growing up because my mom watched it religiously. So I was familiar with all the actors and characters and stuff in that show. So he was in General Hospital at the time that I saw this trailer, and I wanted to see this movie, and it looked cool. So finally, the other night, I got to watch it on Tubi, and oh, it is bad. There's no two ways about it. It's a bad movie. But it's one of those so bad it's good movies. It's just one of those guilty pleasure B sci-fi movies, like Metal Storm or Trancers or any one of those. This one is pretty good for those type of movies. So now, what this movie is about, it takes place in... So I'm going to talk some spoilers in this. I don't know if anyone cares or not, but I will. So this takes place in some indeterminate point in humanity's future where apparently we've spread out across the galaxy and stuff like that. And the whole story takes place on a space station. I don't even think they bother giving the space station a name. So it's basically like a city in space. And the number one form of entertainment on this space station is they have these arena fights with these aliens. So it's like almost like a mixed martial arts boxing thing, but with aliens fighting each other. And so the number one champion, the top champion of this is this alien named Horn. He's been undefeated, and his manager is played by Mark Alamo, and his character's name is Rogor. And so anyway, the next manager that's right behind him with the top contender is Claudia Christian. She plays a character Quinn, and of course everyone knows Claudia Christian from Babylon 5. She played Susan Ivanova on that show. And Mark Alamo, of course, is Gul Dukat from Deep Space Nine. So the movie starts off, it's her fighter against Rogor's fighter, and Horn smashes up her fighter, because her fighter is a weird alien cyborg thing that gets all busted up and smashed up. So she doesn't have a fighter. She's only got one other fighter, and there's this fish guy. So this fish guy is at this restaurant, and in this restaurant we see our main character, this guy named Steve Armstrong, and his friend Shorty. So they're both like cooks and servers at this restaurant. So the Steve Armstrong character, he gets into it with this fish guy, beats him up really bad, and puts him through a window. But as a result, loses his job. Both him and his friend Shorty. And apparently on the space station, when you lose your job, you instantly lose your apartment as well. Because as soon as he walked home, he couldn't get into his place. He was out in the cold. Like that fast. That's how it works. You don't have, even if you got your month's rent paid ahead of time, or even a couple months at a time, I guess it doesn't matter, you're out. So he has to go live with his friend Shorty. Now his friend Shorty lives in the bowels of the space station. There's almost like the slums in the bowels of the space station. That's where Shorty lives. So he goes with him there, stays with him. And on their way there, they meet this old guy who was the last human to fight in the arena, and he was the last human champion. So there has been no humans, and there hasn't been a human champion in these fights for the last 50 years. So Steve Armstrong goes and tells how he watched all this guy's fights. This guy was his hero, and his number one dream was to fight in the arena and be the next human champion. That's his dream. So anyway, he spends the night at Shorty's place. Now the next day, two the guys that work for Quinn show up, and they want to pound this Steve Armstrong guy because he busted up their fish guy, their only other fighter they had. So he gets into a big fight with them, and they're duking it out. But the Steve Armstrong guy beats up both of them. And Quinn sees this, and she's impressed and says, "Oh, you can really know how to fight. I need a fighter. You don't have a job. Why don't you come work for me?" And then now all of a sudden, his mind has changed. The night before, it was his dream to fight in the arena. Now he doesn't want nothing to do with it. So, no, I don't want anything to do with your stinking fights. I don't want nothing to do with this arena. That's not my thing. So I start to see how bad the writing is. But his friend Shorty is telling him, "Hey, we need money. We can make a lot of money with this. You can get enough money, you can get off of the space station." There's another one of Steve Armstrong's dreams is to go back to Earth. But tickets to go there are very expensive. So he says he doesn't want anything to do with it. But then his friend Shorty decides to make some swindling deals, and he gets the money, and he buys his friend the ticket back to Earth. But unfortunately, the money belonged to Rogor. So Rogor comes looking for his money, captures Shorty, and tells Steve, "I want my money right away. If you don't give me my money right away, I'm going to start cutting off this guy's fingers. So you got 24 hours to get my money. And then I'm going to start cutting his fingers off." So Steve says, okay, I'll get your money right away. So he comes back. What he does, he goes to Quinn, and he takes her up on her offer. "Okay, I'll be your fighter." So she pays him upfront some money for his initial contract. He takes that bonus, brings it to Rogor, pays off him, and gets his friend Shorty out of line. But now he has to work for Quinn. He has to fulfill his contract with her. But now Rogor figures out, "Oh, hold on, why didn't you tell me you were a fighter?" And he says, "Because, I manage all the best fighters." So now there's this, he wants he wants Steve Armstrong to fight for him. But then Steve Armstrong doesn't want anything to do with him. He wants to fight for her. Now he has to go up against Horn. And that's where the movie takes off from there. And he ends up fighting in, all these matches and stuff. So it's almost kind of like Bloodsport, but in space. So one of the things, though, is the main character is kind of written in an irritating way. Because he does a lot of dumb stuff in the movie and makes a lot of dumb choices. The writing overall isn't that great, but he's extra stupid in the movie, which is frustrating to kind of watch. He falls for these he falls into some obvious traps that are set by Rogor. Now, the one thing I do like about this movie right off the bat, I like it that it has two actors from Star Trek in it. You got Mark Alamo, who's Gul Dukat in Deep Space Nine, and you got the guy playing his main henchman in this movie is Armin Shimmerman as Weasel. And this is pre-Deep Space Nine days. And they're on a space station, which I thought was kind of funny in this movie. And Weasel is basically like a weasel man, an alien weasel guy. And so he goes around doing all the dirty work and helping Rogor and Horn cheat so they can win these fights. And then you got, of course, Claudia Christian, who is from Babylon 5. And I love it when I see these famous actors that are from these big sci-fi shows that were on TV and that were popular, and I find some of them together in these B sci-fi movies. I always get such a kick out of it. But the main draw, I have to say, to this movie, and this is worth watching the movie for, is Mark Alamo. It's worth it just for him in this movie. He plays it totally straight, he's invested in this role as a villain. He plays it. You can see he's channeling Gul Dukat in this, even though it's before Gul Dukat. But he makes such a good guy. But he looks absolutely ridiculous in this movie. So he's wearing this stupid looking, futuristic looking business suit. And he has a long black Dracula cape with a Dracula collar. He's even got the Dracula hair. It's all black, slicked back, and it goes into, even with the V point at the forehead, and it all goes back into a mullet. And then his face is painted silver. So he looks like this alien Dracula pimp type character. Every time he's on screen, I get such a laugh out of it because he plays it so straight, but he looks so out of this world. He looks so stupid. So just for that alone, it's worth it. Now, how does this stack up compared to some of the other B movies I've reviewed on this on my channel? Because I've done a few of them. So compared to, it's not nearly as good as Trancers. I thought Trancers was way better. And it wasn't as good as Metal Storm. I really like Metal Storm, but I'm nostalgic for Metal Storm because I used to watch that as a kid all the time. But it's always interesting to come across these movies that I read about in magazines or I seen previews of when I was a kid, and then years later, finally getting to see them and just how bad they are. And when I was a kid, you know, I would see previews for these and think they looked so cool, wanted to see them, but it was different back then. So like if a movie didn't come out in the theater in your area or didn't come out on VHS in any of the rental stores in your area, you couldn't see it unless it just happened to pop up on cable TV, and that's if you had cable. So, you know, some of these movies were hard to find, where today it's so different now with all these streaming services and YouTube and all that. It's almost any movie, if you look hard, you don't have to look too hard online, you can find it. Where back in the day, it was quite different. So it's kind of cool to get to see all these movies now that I didn't get to see when I was a kid, and see how bad some of them are. But if you like B sci-fi movies and you like stuff like Trancers, Metal Storm, and those in that vein, this is a fun movie to watch. Definitely check this one out. And if you got a friend that's into these crappy sci-fi B movies too, you know, to have a few beers or a few drinks while watching this, it's a fun way to kill a couple hours. So that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you at the next one. I'd like to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate you all in helping this channel grow. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded.